And as Wait News anchor Liz Byro explains, places like this, with roots as a fishing village filled with cottages, are just now starting to grapple with the idea.
Page by page, Chris Haluka looks back on her family's time on Manasota Key.
This is the second house, 1960.
Her grandfather owned the whole street, Sand Dollar Lane, when it was just sand. Now, it sorta is again.
I mean, I did not grow up here, but I did come to visit my grandparents. And just driving over here today, going over the bridge, I thought I was going to see that view for the rest of my life.
She inherited the place and spent 13 years in paradise with her husband and kids. After Hurricanes Helene and Milton, they just can't do it anymore.
You know, when you can't afford the insurance, it's paradise, but this was never supposed to happen in our lifetime. Who knew a cinder block house is going to fall apart?
Sand Dollar Lane collapsed at the end. Gulfront properties obliterated. This orange home is done for, and the blue next door, not salvageable.
I'm pretty sure it's never going to look the same.
And it likely won't. Cottages gone, homes and memories washed away. The one-time small fishing village can't build back the same. Small town feel is likely history.
Manasota Key today has very much that old Florida, element to it, which is really unique on the Florida West Coast.
Charlotte County Library historian Dr. Jennifer Zobeline recalls a time when people living here fought big development and won. In the 50s around Blind Pass, in 68 against a Holiday Inn around Stump Pass.
What is interesting about Manasota Key is that it never evolved into more than that. It never became this mass development.
And Haluka's grandfather was part of another fight against the condo next door.
My dad told me that, Papa just fought to keep it down to 4 stories.
They won that too, but Milton proved too much for the island.
I wanted to stay here, but I just can't do it anymore.
And too much for the Halukas. Liz Byro, Wink News.
And those cottages wiped out by Helene and Milton won't be able to build the same way because of FEMA's 50% rule. They need to likely elevate and must meet current flood regulations and building codes, which is exactly what we saw after Ian. Everybody on Fort Myers Beach, elevate, elevate, elevate.
It gets back to that question from the top of the newscast, can people afford it?
That's right. And there are other barrier islands along the Gulf Coast that are going to go through the same exact thing.
Certainly are.
All right. Thank you, Taylor. New at 5 tonight, a warning from the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office. FEMA is out in the county assessing damage right now and talking with homeowners. But make sure if somebody approaches you, they're really with FEMA. Legitimate FEMA workers will have an ID. If they don't, call the Sheriff's Office.